Hi, everyone. Welcome to a luncheon panel that will serve as the official launch of the Constitutional Accountability Center. We have a panel here today, and Akil Amar will be joining us through the wonders of video conference. So that screen, which is now our website that launched today at the usconstitution.org, magically will transform into a vestige of Akil Amar in his studio in, there he is, in New Haven.
So when we go to the website, this will happen like every time?
It could. We can work out that feature.
It's a new Ask Akil feature.
Right. Akil Live. I owe a great deal of thanks to a lot of people that are in this room today. I just want to take time to signal out two people whose contributions really stand out. One is Took Kroll. Mr. Kroll is the founding partner of one of Washington, D.C.'s biggest and best law firms. He has shared my vision for the center from the first day I came up with it, and he has done a tremendous amount to help me bring the vision into reality. Secondly, I wanted to thank John Cowell and his entire team at the Open Society Institute for their friendship, for their guidance, for their support, which has made this entire enterprise possible. By way of introduction to the panel, I want to answer the question of why this panel on this day. And the answer is that Akil Amar, Dahlia Lithwick, and Ron Klain each helped me answer a critical question on the way to the establishment of Constitutional Accountability Center. The story of the center starts in 2005. In that year, Akil Amar published a book called America's Constitution, a biography, and he wrote a piece in Slate that Dahlia helped work on, where he said, in essence, the Constitution's text and history are progressive, not conservative, and liberals should take that text and history and claim it as their own. And that struck a chord with me because that is precisely what Community Rights Council had been doing for the last 7 or 8 years in the area of environmental law. We've been using text and history to thwart the legal ambitions of conservatives and to protect environmental laws against constitutional challenges. And what Akil's work did was open up the possibility that those arguments and that approach could be taken across a much broader swath of constitutional law. I want to stop here and say a few more words about Akil's book. It's been called by one reviewer the best book on the Constitution since the Federalist Papers. In this generation, there has been exactly one effort to comprehensively document the original meaning of the Constitution. It's not been done by a conservative scholar. It's been done by Akil Amar. And it's a breathtakingly brilliant and persuasive account of our Constitution's original meaning. Now, Akil's book was not the only thing that happened in 2005. It was also the year that Justice Sandra Day O'Connor retired from the Supreme Court, that Chief Justice Rehnquist passed away. The confirmation of Samuel Alito to Justice O'Connor's seat on the Supreme Court was a traumatic moment for progressives. You could have imagined the nomination creating the perfect storm. He was replacing the court's key swing justice. He had a long record of controversial judicial opinions. And he had a 1985 job application that I recall Ralph Nees calling a smoking cannon. When it became clear after Alito's Senate testimony that this perfect storm was going to end up being more like a stiff summer breeze on the way to his confirmation, it led to soul-searching among progressive organizations, including very much my own. And that's where Dahlia Lithwick comes into the story. Dahlia covers the Supreme Court for Slate. She also writes for Newsweek and contributes to NPR. There is no more trenchant and insightful commentator on the Supreme Court right now than Dahlia. And she was at her absolute finest during the Alito nomination, both explaining the basis by which Justice Alito could have been denied confirmation, and also explaining how, in some respects, the opponents, and particularly the senators who were trying to oppose his nomination, did a less than perfect job in that fight. In a piece published in American Lawyer called To a New Lingo, Dahlia writes, "There is no phrase or theory for what liberals seek in a jurist. The rhetoric of a living constitution is in decline. What stands in its stead is either a judge from the heart principle or the ambiguous mandate to place a finger on the scale of the little guy, regardless of the outcome compelled by the law itself. No wonder the country is at war with judicial activists. The senators make them sound just awful." Dahlia's writing helped generate the center's name. And the phrase we offer in response to the question of what is a phrase we want in judges is simply this. We want judges who are accountable to the Constitution, not the Democratic or Republican Party platform. But I still had nagging questions in the back of my mind about whether it was possible and realistic to get progressive politicians to start talking less about judging from the heart and more about what the Constitution says and compels. And that's where Ron Klain came in. Ron was Joe Biden's chief of staff during the Clarence Thomas hearings. He was an essential part of President Clinton's judge confirmation and nomination process. And as everyone who's watched or heard about HBO's movie Recount knows, he played an absolutely heroic role in a little dispute called Bush v. Gore. There are few people on the planet who know more about progressive judicial politics than Ron Klain. So when I visited Ron 4 months ago in his office, told him about Constitutional Accountability Center, and his immediate response was, "What can I do to help?" I knew I was onto something. It confirmed in my own mind that the center's text and history approach could work not only intellectually, not only as a PR strategy, but more fundamentally as a way of improving the way progressive leaders think and talk about the Constitution and express their vision about the role of the Supreme Court. So we launched today a progressive organization that will put the Constitution first. Our work will be rooted in text and history. We are inspired by the Constitution's progressive promise. And if we do our job right, we will help deliver victories in the courts, Congress, and in the public debate. The Center owes Akil, Dahlia, and Ron a debt of gratitude, and I owe you, our audience, the opportunity to hear them speak.